Well, hi, everybody. Welcome to the December Coffee Chat. I want to make a couple of program announcements. First of all, coming up on December 15th is the deadline to submit a proposal for the upcoming 2026 symposium. The symposium is going to be April 29th to May 1st in San Diego, California.
Wow.
Nice timing for those of us have cold weather and are not quite warmed up in the spring to go do a little sojourn in San Diego. So registration for the conference is open, and we're looking for a submission of proposals by December 15th. And then we hope you join us in January. The next coffee chat is going to be Thursday, the 22nd, and it's going to be Gleaning with Children, Families, and Youth. And we'll be hosted by three of our member partners, Kristen Leslie from Eden Gleaning and Gardening, Connie Miller from America's Grow a Row, and Shannon Black from Food Shed Alliance. So that's going on. And we've got two affinity groups that meet monthly. One is on volunteer engagement, and that's hosted by Sean. And the other one it's a feminist chat group hosted by myself and one of our members from Kokua Harvest, Lisa DeSantis, talking about the phenomenon of women who make up the overwhelming majority of our gleaning workforce, and the notion of caregiving as a women's responsibility. So join us for our feminist rant once a month. So with that, I want to turn it over to our hosts today, Sean and Catherine McDonald. Catherine is from Ruth's Gleaning in South Carolina, and Brandis is from Takun Ha'ir in Milwaukee, who previously hosted a symposium, which was great fun. So I'll turn it over to you all. Thanks, Sean, Catherine, and Brandis.
Welcome, everyone. I'll be moderating today's call or today's conversation, but I really do want this to be a conversation. So I have a few questions I'm going to ask the Catherine and Brandis to chat about. But if you have questions as we're moving through, please raise your hand. You can use the raise hand emoji, or you can just raise your hand and hopefully I'll see you. Or you can drop it in the chat. And I'll ask those questions because I do want this to be a conversation. If you have something to share about how you bring, volunteers together around food, we'd love to hear about that as well. But um, we're really grateful for those who have been willing to share on these panels and these coffee chats. It's just something we can't do without your members' support. So I think just for a bit of background, I'm going to ask Catherine and Brandis just to take a moment and explain their programs. Very, different programs located in different parts of the country, but both have fascinating ways of bringing people together around the idea of eating and food together. So let's start with you, Catherine. You want to walk us through a little bit about what your program is, what it does?
Sure. So, Ruth's Gleanings was started about 6 or 7 years ago, and basically our founder and currently our director just felt a call to save food that was going to waste. And the biblical um, foundation of that is found in the book of Ruth, and her middle name happens to be Ruth, and it's a family name. So Ruth's Gleanings was born. A lot of people confuse it with Ruth's Cleanings, but we are we try to enunciate carefully when we say Ruth's Gleanings. So I've been with the group. I've known her since she started it, and I was on the board. And she had written a grant for a gleanings coordinator because she just couldn't do it all anymore. And anyway, long story short, I said, well, that's something that I think I could do really well. And so I resigned from the board and became an employee. So my job is to rescue and coordinate the rescue of food that would otherwise go to waste and get it to any number of partner organizations. We have a list of over 50. that we provide food to. Some examples of what we rescue is food from the hospital. Every day of the week, that goes to an organization that feeds people. We rescue pizza every day of the week, and that goes to, again, different organizations that have people that need to be fed every day. And then most recently, we've been pretty consistently getting calls from truckers who have a load that can't be delivered for whatever reason. And it does seem to be Walmart has a problem a lot where they arrive with a truckload of something and then they say, well, we didn't order that or we can't receive that. And well, the trucker has to get rid of that. So we have rescued beef, we've rescued cucumbers, um, lots of lettuce, lots of apples. The most recent load was apples, and I said yes. And then I met him there, and they were chocolate covered apples. So that was a that was a nice surprise. So we actually gave those out to our volunteers and our customers because we have another piece of our organization called Food Share, and that is we purchase produce and put it in boxes and then sell those boxes. So people buy ahead. They tell us the week before that they want a box and then they come and pick it up. So we have over 70 volunteers that help us pack those boxes and get the boxes to the people's car. And it's very laborious and not a real smart business model, but our mission is to increase people's access to fresh and healthy produce, especially for those that are have nutritional impoverishment. So we don't make money doing the boxes, but people who have SNAP can get it for $5. So it's a really good deal. It's 15 to 20 pounds of produce. It's super fresh and wonderful. And we put a recipe in there that I put together. And this week it's going to be 3 recipes because it's Christmas. So gets us access to people who otherwise wouldn't have access to healthy food. So unfortunately, we purchased that food so that it's, we need 10 boxes of something or 12 cases of something. So that way we know we have enough to fill the box. That's not my job, but I'm involved in that. But my job is specifically cleanings. So the piece about feeding people is that on those days that we get the box, I get a box of food and I cook with it. So all of our volunteers that are here in the office, I feed them, I feed our regular employees. We invite people. I love to cook, so whatever is in the box, I can come up with something, and I'm happy to do that. And it's really a nice it makes sense that if we are in the business of food and fresh, healthy produce, that we would actually do something with it and affect the community. So, in the warm months, we have a garden and picnic tables, and in the warm months, I just invite people. You look hungry? Would you like to have lunch? And they're just thrilled, and we can sit out on the picnic tables and get to know each other and have a meal together. And just the spontaneity of that is just it's wonderful. I really enjoy blessing those in our community. We're located in an area that's not super nice, pretty low income, and a lot of our customers walk to get their box, or they'll bring their wagon or something and put the box in the wagon and then so they don't have to carry it. So there's lots of opportunity to meet the needs. And we have a pretty nice garden, and a lot of people will forage on their way, which we totally encourage. We want them to do that. We've got lots and lots of herbs that are prolific, so we encourage them to grab some rosemary or lavender or grab some mint to put with that vegetable stew or whatever. So
We'll come back and we'll visit a little bit more about this community building activity that you're doing, feeding people. Let's go to Brandis real quick and let her explain a little bit about what Tikkun Hayir does, and then we'll circle back.
sounds great.
And nice to meet you, Catherine. I think the
Nice to
business
meet
model
you.
sounds great.
Oh, thank you.
I'm Brandis. I work at Tikkun Hayir, which translates to repair the city. So we are repair the city of Milwaukee. Um, So we do all sorts of, we're a social justice, social action nonprofit, but I focus on the food justice aspect. I oversee gleaning, which is predated me over 15 years. I think they've been gleaning about 18, 19 years from the farmers markets. And
Awesome.
it started kind of through backyards and synagogue gardens and grew into gleaning from the markets. And then I've been growing that into gleaning also from farms. So now we have a staff. So that's my job along with my food justice intern. We glean from 2 markets a week. The market that I glean from goes directly to a meal program, and we will work with volunteers to prep all that, cook it, pack it, and then also deliver it to different agencies. I work out of a kitchen that reminds me of what Catherine was describing with her garden, where this kitchen's in a church in an unfortunately underserved neighborhood, but there's a lot of food that comes out of this church. So we rent the space to cook out of it twice a week. We give a lot of our meals as well out at their farm stand 2 to 3 times a week in the summer. They do a farm stand, which is essentially an outdoor pantry, which is focused on healthier items and fresh food. They do have a weekly pantry that's more like go in the church and get yourself stable in your meat. But this farm stand is no zip code required. You just wait in line outside. They take everything out of the boxes they receive it in. They put it in wicker baskets. It's like going to the farmer's market. So they have volunteers that help take care of the garden, obviously pick from the garden, and then a lot of I can't talk. The donations they get come from grocery stores as well as other farmers markets. And along with the person who runs that program, I go out to farms that they have connections with. An orchard is one they have a great connection with, so we will get pumpkins and squash. We get apples. We've gotten blueberries, which we
Mm.
won't probably go back and do. It's a little labor intensive for getting out to the community. Um, and then I'll go back to my meal program. I think this year we made over 7,000 servings of different meal components. Now, some agencies will get servings of a main dish and salads and other items, but just for the sake of passing out a meal, it might be a salad, it might be just a pasta dish. It's all vegetarian. We did a lot of vegan this year, focusing our protein more on beans and less on cheese, even though we are in Wisconsin. When I first got into the program, I felt like our only protein was cheese, so we're switching it. We also have a workforce development program for our seasonal staff. So we have this amazing retired chef who works with us. We do pay him. I don't know what I'd do without him. I'd like to find another one of him, but he's like a needle in a haystack. And then he had a chef aide that I got through another workforce development culinary program, and she would do that in conjunction with the one she was doing. They worked lovely together in the kitchen. There were so many fancy vinaigrettes, so many new recipes. And then the thing we do is we all sit down and eat together. One of our main volunteers throughout the season is a group from Milwaukee Women's Correctional Center. They all come on a bus to, I'm sorry, like a little van together. There's about 15 of them, and they are in a release program. And I could share it, but I do have a little like news bit with them when they came to volunteer with us this year. It doesn't feature me, it just features them in the program because when we have them, we have so many volunteers. We get our vegetables prepped so fast. I need more work for them to do. So I send them to that garden. They can help in the garden harvesting, they can help set up the farm stand, they can just eat raspberries. Yeah, so it's a really mixed community of volunteers, and it's really great to have them as uh, some people that identify as like new workers in the workforce development program, along with, some specific days we do families of all ages, and then we'll have the women from the prison come on their own specific days as well. And getting out to the farm, it's usually just Susan, that woman I mentioned earlier, myself and parishioners, we can grab friends and parishioners, just like who's free. So I'm still working on getting people out to the farms because those are about 40 minutes out of the city. So it is like that is the barrier for people. But we really get a lot when we get out there and then we bring it back to the city. And sometimes I'll make 4 stops with my cart full of stuff behind my Subaru. And I think that's all I have for now.
Thanks, Brandis. Um, Catherine, Something that stood out to me, and Kathy too, she just sent me a little text to remind me, is when we were reading your census interview, you said this phrase that, you were given the gift of hospitality. And I wonder how you feel like hospitality fits into what you're doing to build community. And just expound on why you felt it was important to share that you were given that gift of hospitality and how it fits into your work.
Right. Well, I had a renewed heightened sense of my gift when I came and no food was being prepared. When I started working, I thought, this why are we ordering out some lunch when we have all this fresh produce and we're a food ministry? So that's where I'm not afraid to work. I'm not afraid to cook, and I just dove right in. So I think the gift of hospitality kind of pushed that envelope a little for our organization that, oh yeah, this is something that can be done. So it's every 2 weeks, and I've just started inviting people that I meet during the week and say, oh, we'll come back on Wednesday. Come join us for lunch. And, sometimes they come and sometimes they don't. But I think unless you have that sense of how can I include other people and, getting around a table is the best way to do it. People always want to eat and then conversations start and all that. So I think it might not just be the gift of hospitality, but an awareness of it, that's a great bridge for food does that especially for people in need.
Dig a little bit there. So many organizations, volunteers come out, they do the task, they go home. That's something we've learned so much in the census, is that gleaners are so focused on the task at hand that's the majority of gleaners, that's what we do with our volunteers. And I wonder, why was it so important to you that you guys ate together? How did that start to come about? Um, why was that important to your organization?
Well, a part of it is it's easy because we have our office is a house. So there is a kitchen and there's a dining room. And so it just seemed really simple. Here's this box of food and here's a kitchen. And I'm not really involved in food share. What can I do? How can I fit in this day? It's a big day every 2 weeks. It's the big day. So I've raised 4 children and I always have people over every weekend. So it just felt normal for me to roll up my sleeves and cook. And now, um, people, if word's getting out. So it's a reliable source that, oh yeah, there'll be food. Let's go see what Catherine's cooking.
I love that. Brandis, have you guys always ate after you cook these meals together, or is that something new that you've added to your
Yeah, it
programming?
sounds great.
I think it predates me as well. And the cohort of volunteers is different depending on the day. It could be
Yeah.
families one day. Unfortunately, we just keep it 18 and over when we have the ladies visit from the prison. It just seems like it makes more sense for things. But that cohort of volunteers together, the women who are like still institutionalized, wearing institutional clothing, coming. I've heard them say things like, "Oh, this I can't remember the last time I used a real fork." I heard things like, "I never get fresh fruit." So knowing when they come, I upped how much silverware we had, and I upped making sure we had fresh fruit every time they came to have lunch with us. Weeks they weren't coming, I might not think about getting that, but because that's
Right.
things that other people take for granted. But that's them along with I would say, a group of could be some professionals that have the day off work that are in their 30s or 40s to women in their 60s, 70s, and 80s that volunteer regularly as part of their ethos because they get to. And people have great conversations and they're all organic. And then also the food itself is a little foreign to people, especially institutionalized people who get probably pretty gross food on the regular. It's really good, and they were also hesitant because they weren't sure what that vegetable was they were cutting earlier. So they not only help make the meal, but they're also like, what are we going to eat? Like, what are you making? And it's vegetarian and it's and it's nourishing. So
It educates.
Yep. And that's what they do at that farm stand, like you were mentioning, Catherine, where she will have some vegetables like kohlrabi, or we have a lot of Hmong farmers where we are from, so we get a lot of different vegetables that a lot of, I would say, everyone else is not familiar with, purslane to just different kinds of lettuces or greens, and we just educate them, or especially Susan, being the ministry person that I speak of at the farm stand, does a good job with recipes or sampling. I remember once she got like a big block of tofu and she just had people take tofu that she had to like dissect herself in her kitchen because she lives right there as well. And now they're hooked on tofu, and it's tofu's good for you for the most part. It's a good, I'm not going to get into the weirdness of soy or anything, but it's mostly it's good food to have. And if you've never tried it, this woman in her 80s was transformed into trying it. So it's never too late. And
Awesome.
we're doing a soup program just to kind of keep our touches with the community year round, since we have essentially a 15-week program with the farmer schedule here. So we're doing soup Sundays where we're just going to stand in front of partner agencies that are normally offering food but are closed because they are closed on Sunday. And I'm just going to stand out the cold and pass out rolls and soup, vegetarian
Awesome.
soup. So I'm excited for that. I wish we could sit and eat together, but it's just like it's pretty cold here. So we will not.
Both mentioned conversations. Tell me about that piece of this part of the you're offering, this chance for people to connect. What are people connecting around? How do you feel like that supports your mission and your work?
I was thinking of different, well, conversations, not just the ones at the lunch table when after we, work together for Veggie Chop Shop. That's what our meal program is called. But when we do go out gleaning, it's like, people stop and say, "Wow, it's beautiful out here." That's the thing I hear people saying, or right when they start feeling it, like, "Oh, my back." It's time for them to be done because they're playing farmer. And they're like, "Wow, I played," and they're like shocked how much they picked. We show them, look how much we picked. We offer them to take some home if possible. And those conversations, those people that have never met, when they get to go on a farm together are pretty fun too. When they're out in the field. And I wish I had more examples of those. Going out to the orchard and having kids, they say clean this whole Honeycrisp tree, and you see kids just like scrambling up. It's a short tree, to get all the trees from the top. They're like, throwing them down to their like brothers and sisters and cousins and stuff. I don't know. There's just so many different activities that seem to be happening, and um,
Awesome.
I would say just joy from those women who are stuck in the same institution every day. They get to come out with us and meet with other people, and then joy from the people that never get to go outside and do this work. What about you, Catherine?
Well, we have such a varied group of people that we serve. It's hard to say, but um, I think food just has a way of bringing people together. And so one of the groups that we bring food to is called Angels Charge, and it's a women's ministry. And some of the women don't know how to cook. They've just come out of incarceration, and but they have to cook in this home that they're in. And when we bring fresh produce, it just to see their faces light up and ask like, well, what is that? What do I do with that? And just to know that our efforts of saving food and getting it to the people who need it, it could be life-changing for some, because when they leave that home, they're going to have to be on their own. And if they go out for every meal, they'll never make it. So being able to teach them, I'm not necessarily teaching them to cook, although it is something we've thought about adding to our list of things we offer. But within that home, there are people who are teaching them to cook with that produce, and not just letting them get away with, oh, I'll go out, or I'll let someone else do it, or any whatever number of ways you might avoid learning. But because the need is great. The need is so great. And I think I think cooking and rescuing food go hand in hand. I don't see how you want to rescue food and then not cook with it. Just seems really logical to me.
Find that you're building connections across, you know, social economics
Yes.
groups and across ideologies. I mean, I just don't think I think it's a very rare thing that we sit down with folks who either think differently than us or have come from a different social or economic situation than us. And I just wonder if you could speak to those connections and community building that's happening.
Well, I think at least at Risk Gleanings, it's part of our ministry. It's part of our mission is to build those bridges across those socioeconomic divides and for that not to matter, you know. Um, the command to feed people or glean from the edges of the fields in Ruth, that command to leave that food for those who need it, the foreigners, the widow, the hungry. Those are the people that we're ministering to, but um, we don't label them by that. When our society tends to put them in a category and avoid them or, send money, what they really need is someone to sit down and have a meal with or connect with or listen to them and hear their stories. Because most of the people that we serve have amazing stories. So just the value of being heard and taking the time to listen.
I wish I could sit down more with people because we have a lot of recipients that I don't sit, the food gets delivered and I don't.
Yeah.
Some of them are private facilities, some of them are childcare centers, and I do get to see when I do those deliveries, so I get to see cute little babies smile at me when I deliver the food, but it's their lunch for the next day. I also love feeding kids that age because they don't like, they just eat everything. They're just so happy about it. Um, and we did this food justice farm party. So there's the Jewish holiday of Sukkot, which is just a harvest celebration. And we usually culminate our food program with a Sukkot, like special thanks luncheon to our volunteers. And we invite all our service partners. And we did this out in not Milwaukee, another like 30-40 minute drive to this place that has has a day camp for kids in the summer. So it has all kinds of stuff, but it also has just lots of space. So they have a little farm there. And I did a demo making butternut squash soup, and people helped me cut the squash. Then the
Awesome.
chefs that work with me for the season went and cooked it. And then we passed out samples of it, and people were like, "This is vegan." Because it had coconut milk in it. They were just like blown away. It was getting a little colder. The wind was picking up. This is October, so it's could be very hot, but it wasn't like it was mostly beautiful weather. But like at that moment of the little taste of the soup, it was like, this is what I need. But we brought people in buses from Milwaukee because we wanted it to be equitable to share this holiday with people from other denominations, and people that we work with because we do work with a lot of, we work out of a Lutheran church. So a lot of their parishioners came, and we'd hoped like people, from other agencies would come too, just to do like a kind of an interfaith, showcase of like this holiday surrounded about, or it's about the harvest. So, everything was related to nature and harvesting and cooking. Everybody got to take a pumpkin home with them, and we had a nice luncheon as well. So, I wish more people would have taken advantage of coming from the city, but it was our first time doing it, and it was great. We'll do it again.
It's awesome.
Yeah. It's like sharing our holiday
Well, how
that's
many? Oh, go
unknown
ahead, Brandon.
with people, from different faiths and trying to align with like, oh, you're done with your services? Well, let's whisk you away to this farm now.
Unknown caller.
Okay, go on. I'm sorry.
I was gonna say, if anyone has any questions, please feel free to, raise your hand or drop them in the chat. Love to hear your questions or just something to add, some way in which you all are bringing folks together and building community around food and your own programming. We'd love to hear about it. Um, Brandis, you said something in your chat that I thought, you said as you started, you said, I wish I could sit down with more people. And as we've been wrapping up this gleaning census, One of the things that we've really heard from Gleaners is a struggle is this disconnect between the folks who actually end up eating their food and the organizations, and not a chance to get that feedback. So I love thinking of these meals together as a chance to get that feedback of, are these recipes working? Are these, people enjoy this? What's happening out there? Um, so I love that. And did you shared that story about Sukkot, if I'm saying that right?
Mhm.
And you both of your organizations are deeply faith-based organizations, and so much of, religion's ceremonies and traditions revolve around food and meals together. And I wonder, this is a two-part question. One is, how does, that religious tradition influence your choices to have these meals together with your people? And then I'm curious, just in a broader sense, how you feel that your faith and the faith of the faith your organization's based around affects the work that you're doing and the gleaning work you're doing. Um, and if you don't remember all that, that's okay. We can circle back to some of it.
I do work for a faith-based organization, but I don't identify as really any faith personally, but I'm just I'm a person who knows a lot about Judaism, being half Jewish, and half raised United Methodist, yada yada. But um, I have a friend who has a nonprofit here, and she makes a bunch of different vegetarian fantastic meals out of her house. She does actually have her own 501(c)(3). She just hires herself, and then she drives her bike around and delivers meals, and she will eat with people. And that's the kind of organic experience that I need to get on the bike with her is what I need to do, because she's doing it. It's not, she's doing it for the same reasons I am, and it's not necessarily rooted in any spirituality. It's just our ethos as human beings. Um, and I was going to mention another organization that does meals together before pantry, but they're Catholic, so it's it's kind of the same thing. It's more unique to find those spaces outside of places of worship. But I just liked that specific Sukkot experience because it's a lesser known holiday. It ties together with like wrapping up our farming agricultural season, and it gets people in the city out into the country in ways they don't normally get to. So,
It's
and it was
nice.
just a new way to share a meal. So, okay, Catherine.
Well,
Brad,
I'm
this
just
was,
laughing because we had a
go
big
ahead.
celebration for Shavuot, and people didn't know what that was either. And we're not a Jewish organization, but Messianic Jew um, member, and a Christian organization might know it as Pentecost, but just to celebrate what the Lord has done, and we invited everyone we knew, and they all came, and we sat in the garden and had a meal together. So it was again around food, but also um, when we do things like that, we always open the doors because we don't ever want someone to not feel included. I mean, there's never a reason to have it be a select few,
Hmm.
because that's just not what we're about. We're about feeding as many people as possible and, just sharing the love. And I think people, especially these days, feel very disconnected and very alone. And I'm sure that's not anything new in history, but it feels like it's gotten worse in the last 10 or 15 years, that the disconnect from a community is huge. And so I just think food is an easy way to bring people in. And
Absolutely.
we have a very small, limited pantry because we don't ever want to turn anyone away. So if we don't have any pre-made food or um, any fresh produce to give away, we always have canned goods. And it's just my closet in my office. But those people that come, and it takes a lot of courage to just say, I need food, and so we want to honor that. And that's why we have a pantry, just because we don't ever want to turn someone away. If they had the courage to come knock on the door and say, do you have any food for me? We want to honor that. So
I
whether
just want
that's
to
because we're
say,
faith-based or not, I don't know, but I think it's just what you feel called to.
I was just gonna say, sorry, that yeah, like the people I work with, they are called to your work and their food ministry. But I do appreciate they are welcoming to everyone as you are. And I do appreciate they don't evangelize. There's no, there's no catch. There's
No.
just human interaction.
And
So,
people that they say, "Well, do you need any of my information? And do I qualify?" I mean, they're so used to it
yeah.
being, a 10-page application just to get a bag of food. And they're just thrilled when we say, "No, you just have to have need and we're happy to give it to you." So that I love that part. I mean, I just love my job anyway because I think it's pretty cool to be able to give food away.
Hmm.
But I do have a question if I might ask about the farmers. I've not been able to get farmers to allow me to glean. So I'm curious about that process of were you in on that or did you inherit that?
I'm
How did you find farmers
scratch-
that want you to come glean?
I'm starting it from scratch, and I find it to be a 20 yes, 80 no so far. So I'm working on it. I
Yeah,
wish it was the other way around because we have a lot of farms here.
yeah.
Yeah, I would love more tips than that. Some people have it down. Like Boston area gleaners, they clearly have some amazing agricultural relationships over there. So
I
any
have
of
lots of volunteers that would go help me, but I have no one who's saying, "Come clean."
the
So
rest of you can
I've written
meet
letters,
up
I've called, I've
and make
knocked.
some tips.
Yeah, would love that.
You mentioned, people feeling disconnected from each other and this disconnect in communities. And I wonder, do you see it as part of your mission to build community? Is that something you're like actively trying to do, or is it just something that's happening as a side benefit of your work?
Well, I'll answer that because our garden is a community garden and it is part of our desire for the community to rally around. It's not really happening in large numbers, but it is happening. But it's such a foreign thought that it could be a garden that's available to anyone who like it's just foreign. You have to tell people and educate people that yes, this garden is here for you. Yes, you're welcome to sit on that bench. Yes, you can pick that. Yes, you can eat that. It's taking a while to get people to get it.
Yeah, I agree with you.
If you're housed in a larger organization, does that larger organization see it as part of their mission, community building? Or is that just something that's happening as well?
Oh, you mean like the church that I partner with and cook out of? Is that what you mean?
Well, I mean, like, is Tikkun Ha'ir is an organization, you don't just do gleaning, you guys do other programming. And I'm wondering if Tikkun Ha'ir sees part of their mission is building community as you're, repairing the city. Does that involve building
I think it's in our
community?
mission statement. Yeah. It's uniting like people of all backgrounds to unite in action, study, something. Well, I don't remember the other thing. But we try to do the act, we like come up with the action, or we ask our community partners what action and help they're looking for. And then we create programs around it, year round. Like one of my colleagues is in voter engagement, so there's a lot going on at all times with that. She works with Working Families Party a lot because they can at least say things where 504, whatever, numbers can say things. Some nonprofits can only say yes or no to like a referendum that's being voted on, but they can't support a party member. But yeah, we're just in so many different spaces, and food is always a unification that, you know, I could easily go to some of my colleagues' voter engagement, events and probably get different, people involved that didn't even think about it. I know their communities are in need of that along with everything else because she works with a lot of inner city Black faith leaders, as like for instance, like which aren't even my people technically. I know every faith leader because I'm not involved in voter engagement. So. but I'm trying to go outward to farmers. And so I go to farmers union events. That's my goal. I have a little in to go to some of the Wisconsin Farmers Union is very I don't know, they're edgy compared to other farmers unions. They like to take risks. So they have a lot going on, but it's just more like it's always toward the end of the year that they kind of get back to me. So I did get on some land that farmers don't necessarily own, but my longtime donors at the markets that are mostly Hmong and speak almost no English invited me to their land this year. So I think that's a big step in the direction that I'm trying to go to. Because they were like, you should have more volunteers here, but it was very last minute, middle of the week. But we could have gotten so much more if we had had it ready to go. So, yeah, every year we're just building upon trying to get out to the farms. That's our thing because we need the food, or we know who does.
Anyone in the audience have a question or a comment they want to share? Or some advice for Catherine on finding farmers?
Yeah. Or getting farmers to say yes. Yeah.
Um, Previously, cooking demonstrations and cooking information in general, nutrition information in general, was a big part of SNAP Ed funding. And I know that funding has gone away for the most part with the change in administrations. So, for other groups, is this something you previously have done? Is use SNAP Ed funding for cooking demonstrations and for um, other nutrition ed? And is this a barrier without that funding to providing this kind of nutrition focused service?
We personally haven't.
Okay.
And I know that the people like Catherine in Milwaukee also don't. What Catherine's gonna speak.
Yeah, I know that we have SNAP funding for the box. For SNAP people, the box is only $5, where if you pay cash, it's 20. And so we get SNAP funding for the 15, to make up for the 15, but it doesn't cover education of
Mm,
cooking.
mhm.
But there is something through Spartanburg Regional Hospital. It's called Cooking Up Confidence, and they are teaching food classes with the food share box. So if you get the box, you might want to sign up for those classes, and then you could learn to cook with those ingredients that are in the box that you got. So that doesn't happen in-house because our kitchen's not HUD certified, so
Right.
DHEC or whatever. But something that we would like to, it's in our vision for the future, we would like to teach canning and preserving classes so that if you had a bumper crop and you had too much, what would you do with it? And so it's on the horizon. I don't know how that will take form, but it's definitely something that we're interested in, especially if we did glean and couldn't give it all away, then we could even preserve it and just, to be really responsible for the food that we have been given.
I see Danny is on the call, and I know Danny's organization. Danny's joining us from Spain. And
Oh,
I know his organization does a lot of preserving because I got to sample his marmalade when he joined us at the symposium last year. So if Danny wants to share on their process, that would be great. And we've got a number of US-based organizations that do canning and preserving. Most of them were certified through the um, Master Gardeners programs in a lot of states have a
oh,
canning and preserving, so you can get a Master
oh,
Preserver
interesting.
certification.
Yeah, I could look into that.
So Danny, if you're in a position to share, that'd be great. Mute. There you go.
There you go. No, I'm used to Teams more than Zoom. Hello, how are you? um, First of all, I wanted to join before to talk about the farmer situation. Is a lot of patience to access the fields for us, at least, and we have a network of a large network of farmers, around 250, but it takes a long time. But it's about getting to know them, leveling up to them. At the end of the day, you are also helping them to give a second life to their work. Nobody likes to tread all over your harvest, no, because you cannot sell it. And then getting to know them. Sometimes they're more into that kind of giving side, no, that the charity side of things. Sometimes they're more into the environmental side of things, and always using a very professional and transparent approach is what helps the most, and not really trying to sell it to the last consequence, because then you will end up not having a very successful relationship with that person, and be expected to take a long time to earn their trust, because at the end of the day, you're a stranger going into their homes, and you need to earn that. And then, yes, we do work like in Spain. The situation a lot of time the people that receive food aid is people from migrant backgrounds. So sometimes they're not really used to the fresh food that we provide, and also it's quite a new thing that food aid services give out fresh food. No, it's only been in the last 15 years or so, and a lot of them, they're not like well equipped with cooling machinery and stuff like that. In some areas in Catalonia, where we are specifically, the government made a lot of effort for that, but other parts of Spain is not happening that way. So they're not really used to using fresh produce so much. You know, they're used to using legumes and oil and things that are easy, cheap to transport and store, where fresh produce offers all this new set of challenges. So we do a lot of work with the users of the social entities, and we do cooking courses with them on the one side to teach them about how to use these new products. Also teach them about like that if they don't look good aesthetically, is because we're working for that, not to introduce these products that they don't look so good, but they're still nutritious and edible and perfectly good to eat. It's just that they made us believe that all the apples should look exactly the same, not as Mother Nature send them to us. So we help them understand that, and they help us keep pedagogy, and kind of make people more willing to take those fresh fruit and vegetables that they don't know. And on the other side, we help them cook these vegetables, and we teach them recipes where we're using fresh fruit and veg, because when we glean, we work on all this food that we lose in the fields, but also there is a large part of the food loss and waste that happens because people don't get organized well enough and they throw food away. So we kind of teach them that as well. And then as another way of showing that, we throw away so much and we could actually dynamize the economy with that, we've created at the beginning, it was a very small social enterprise, and at the moment it's quite large. It works on a model of social enterprise where we have like a team of core staff that they have normal, regular contracts, and then all the rest of the workers, they're people on social inclusion, because we think that, yes, it's okay to give food for free to people that need it, but it would be much better that those people could afford to go and buy the food for themselves. So we work with social services, and then we have these contracts between 1 year and 3 years where we work with people from vulnerable backgrounds, and we kind of teach them a job and prepare them for the job market, and then we follow up their transition to a next job. So we help them to find another job. Some people are ready after a year, so people might need 3 years for that. We get a lot of help from the government with these contracts, and that allows us to then work with our farmers at the same time, buying their excess food that they harvested already, so we don't glean that. The farmers have already spend the money on growing the vegetables and harvesting the vegetables, but they cannot sell them because they're ugly or because their client refused them in the end or for a myriad of reasons. So we buy that at a lower cost, and we transform that into jams and vegetable pates. And at the same time, we're also working with our farmers. So if they want to make these preserves with their own brand, uh, we do it for them. We don't allow them to use our premises, but we will do it for them, and we work with them so they can design their own label and market. So, for example, I sell tomatoes in the summer, but in the winter when they have no tomatoes, I can sell tomato sauce under my same brand, kind of thing. No, so that's another key stone for us to work with farmers. Also, try and find benefits for
Yeah.
them.
Do you make
So,
money on that? Is that a
uh,
source of funding?
we are kind of breaking even at the moment. We're breaking even. It's a social enterprise, so we do have a lot of help in terms of financing some of the salary weight in the company and everything. And we have grown very fast. So we've gone from a very small factory, and now we have quite a large one, and it is working because we also do a lot of, like, we work with companies with social responsibility, and we do visits and activities with them, and we also work, like, we're trying to work with different we had a lot of moral debate about it, to work with the main supermarkets, to have like our products in the main supermarkets. Do we want that? We want to contribute to the agri-food system that we're fighting at the same time, no? But at the end of the day, the main supermarkets, it's where everybody goes. So the impact of our product would be much larger, that we only limit ourselves to a small, like, artisan shops, no? So it's kind of working out, but obviously it's a fierce world out there. There's a lot of competition. So we always try, and at the end of the day, you have to have more like a business mind when you do this kind of thing. It's not an area that I deal with. I work more like on the cleaning side of things. So I could put you in contact with people from the factory, and they can give you more details but about this thing. But it's not going bad. I guess if it was just a private company, I don't know how we do, because it's a company within the social enterprise, and we are really, really held by the administrations and our network of social entities that we work in partnership with. You're never alone, kind of thing.
Danny, thanks for sharing. And Danny shared at the symposium last year, as Kathy mentioned, and you can go and watch that if you'd like. Just have one last question, since we just have a few minutes left for Catherine and Brandis. What's one piece of advice you would give to your fellow gleaners if they wanted to start, you know, adding this meal type program to their work, or have opportunities to eat with their volunteers or clients? What's the piece of advice you'd give to folks?
Well, I would say don't worry about making it a complete and balanced meal. Even if you just made potato salad, offer it, or coleslaw or apple pie, whatever, just do one thing and then just see how it goes. And you'll be surprised. People would be delighted to have a bowl of potato salad, you know?
Yeah, no, I'm just thinking, like, what if I had a little, like, some fruit and sandwiches for after we
Mhm.
get done working on the farm? Because we have one farm we go to that's a CSA farm. They have this crazy farm stand, so I send people there to just spend more money, but also that's not an option for everyone, you have to remember. So maybe just like part of the glean is we're gonna sit down right next to all these, fields that we helped pick and just have a nosh in the grass or something. I think that would be nice.
Solution Farms, they're not on the call today, but they do this. I can't speak very detailed about it, but they do this thing with corporate volunteers, where corporate volunteers have the option of having a farm to table meal on the farm,
Yeah,
and they
that's
pay the
cool.
farmer
I
for
would
that
do that.
opportunity. It's like a really nice way to give back to their farmers as well. And I love that idea when I heard about it recently. So
I
But I
tried to
love
buy a
also a picnic.
Yeah, I tried to buy a farm. That's another story that the city has access to. One of my events would have been farm to table dinners, of course.
So much for sharing and thanks for the work you're doing. It's a pleasure to hear about your programming and to hear about the ways that um, you are building community. It's such an important part of gleaning. Like for me, it's like I think one of the key things that gleaners do is bring folks together from different backgrounds and different walks of life and can build stronger communities around food. And I love that aspect of cleaning. So I'd love to hear the ways you guys are eating together and bringing people together. So
Absolutely. Yeah, thanks for having me.
I enjoyed
good
it
to
as
see you
well.
guys
I
all
have a
next
very
month.
loud background, so I keep muting myself so you guys don't hear it all. It's Employee Appreciation Day, so they're still
Oh,
celebrating back there.
An International Mountain Day, I think I heard on the news or something. It's one of those weird international days.
My son
oh,
told me that this morning too, Danny. So it's true.
Catherine, would you mind
All right.
sharing your email in the chat? I wanted to follow up with you around the truck drivers and how you connect with them. But I didn't want to, I know that wasn't the topic for today.
I will answer the simple question is that we didn't do anything. They found us through Google. But since then, I've written letters and approached truck stops upon the recommendation of one of those truck drivers.
I mean, you literally just walk up to trucks at truck stops and ask them if they
No,
want to partner?
I contacted the truck
That's
stop
amazing.
owners. Yeah, and they usually have a board where trucks drivers come into the truck stop, and it's just a bulletin board. So I just put a flyer up there that said, if you have extra food, call me. Or if you have food you can't get rid of or you need help, call.
Closest truck
That's-
stop flyer. That's a great idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if we have truck stops, but I'm going to look into it.
Yeah, TA is a big one. Truck Stops of America, and then Valero. I don't know if you have those gas stations, but those tend to be truck stops as well.
A few years ago, I was heading from Wisconsin to Illinois, and we stopped at a gas station. There was a guy with a rejected truck from, I think, Walmart, about perfectly good avocados. And I took as many as I could. And I was also just on holiday, but I was like, I'm worried about these avocados.
I know. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
That's great. It's worth a try. It's really easy to do. So
Yeah.
I gave everybody avocados for Christmas, like a big old bag. Like, here you go. But
That's awesome. My most recent glean was 900 loaves of bread. So the thing
yeah,
about the
bread is-
truckers is you just get more than you know what to do with, but every organization got bread.
yep, you can't say no.
Yeah. No, it was great. And it actually even went into the schools. We had another thing that we were doing with districts. Some of the
I got
school
some free
districts
bread
and
from
so
our
we-
school. I wonder
So
how.
we just added some bread to the giveaway. Yeah.
all right, thank you.
Thank you.
Take care.
Thanks,
And on to another
everyone.
meeting.
Talk to you
Bye, guys.
soon.
Bye.
Bye.